Hi there, Volvo owners. Today in your 2016 Volvo XC90, we're going to be taking a look at and showing you how to install Stealth Hitches rack receiver. And this is what our hitch looks like when it's installed. That's right, it's completely hidden because this is the Stealth Hitch. The hitch is installed behind the fascia here, and there is a mechanism located on our hitch that will allow you to insert a rack receiver or a drawbar depending on the particular accessories that you've purchased for your Stealth Hitch. The rubber plug here located on the bottom of the latching mechanism is where you would insert your accessories. You'll get a plug so that way you can keep out any dirt, debris, and moisture when you're not using your hitch for anything. That's nice because that'll help just ensure long-lasting operation of your components. Now when you are ready to use your accessories, we have the rack receiver here that we've installed on the vehicle. This is going to slide right up into the latching mechanism. So we're just bringing it straight up, just pushing up, and click. It's now inserted into the receiver. The release mechanism is located here. If you wanted to remove it, you would simply just turn it until it clicks and drops out. It stays in that released position, which makes it easy to insert your accessories. So if you're going to swap it out with a different one or whichever you needed to do. Before we put this into service and put accessories into our rack receiver, we do want to make sure that we lock it in place. So on the opposite side from our release mechanism, we're going to have our lock mechanism. And we're just going to push this in to lock it in place. To lock it in place, you'll just simply push in on the lock mechanism there. That'll lock it in place. We can cover up the lock with the dust boot to help ensure long-lasting operation of our lock. We'll receive 2 keys included with our kit here, so that way we can keep one with our keychain and keep a spare at home. And we can release this whenever we're ready to remove our accessories. You just want to make sure you unlock it first. But we never want to use our accessories without first locking them in place to ensure that this is not going to go anywhere. Now we've only installed the rack receiver kit, so the only accessory you're going to receive for this is the rack receiver end here, and this is designed only for accessories, not for towing. If you did want to do towing though, the cross tube portion that's installed is rated for towing. However, the rack receiver here is not. This would simply remove, and you can get a drawbar package here at etrailer. That'll also include your safety chain attachment points, so you can install those on here, and then that mechanism would simply slide right up into the same latch block, and it would give you a drawbar at the back so that way you could tow. The rack receiver that we've got installed here has a 600-pound tongue weight available to it. If you upgrade to the full towing package, the drawbar would have a 600-pound tongue weight and a 6,000-pound gross towing, but that's only with that drawbar package. With this one here, the tongue weight rating is the only one that's important because this is not designed to do any pulling. The receiver here is going to be a 2-inch by 2-inch receiver, which is going to be great for just about any accessories. Most of your accessories are going to be available in that option. You'll secure your accessories to your hitch using a 5/8 inch hitch pin and clip. Now, one doesn't come included with the hitch, but we've got plenty available here at etrailer, and I would highly recommend locking hitch pins to protect your investments where they're on your hitch. Since we know our rack receiver here is locked on to it, if we lock our accessories to it, nothing can leave the vehicle. I've got some measurements for you here to help you when deciding on your accessories. From the center of our hitch pin hole to the edge of our rear bumper, it's right at about 1 inch. And that's important when determining if your accessories will contact the bumper when inserted and if they can be placed in the upright storage position without contacting the bumper. And from the ground to the top inside edge of our receiver tube, it measures about 14.5 inches. This is important when determining if you need a raised shank on your accessories. Now that we've covered some of the features of our hitch, why don't you follow along with me in the shop and we'll show you how to get it installed. This one might seem intimidating at first, as Stealth hitches are usually a little bit more complicated to install, and the fascia does have to be removed here at the back, but the Volvo actually comes apart very easily. We're going to show you it step by step. I had this completed in about an hour, and if you're doing this at home in your garage, I wouldn't say it would take too much longer than that, maybe an hour and a half to 2 hours if you're unfamiliar with the vehicle a little bit. We'll begin our installation here at the back of the vehicle with the lift gate open. You'll have your bumpers here that strike against the lift gate. We'll need to remove these. You'll have one on each side. To remove these, we're simply going to turn it counterclockwise, and it's only going to turn, I would say it's about maybe 90 degrees, and then it just pulls out of there. We'll do the other side the same way. Next, we'll need to remove the trim piece located above our rear wheel. We're gonna do this on each side. We'll start in front of the wheel. And we're just gonna grab our trim piece and we're just gonna pull outward. And we're just gonna then gently release all the clips, working our way down to get this whole piece removed. And we'll set this aside and get the other side removed the same way. Behind this trim piece, right here at the back side of the fascia, we're gonna have some Torx bits, Torx screws that we're gonna need to remove. There's a total of 5 working our way down. And we'll use a T25 Torx to remove them. You might be able to get a gun in there for the first couple, but then you're gonna need to switch over to a smaller ratcheting tool to be able to get these removed with the tire in the way. You do also have the option to jack the vehicle up and remove the tire, but that's a lot of extra work, so it's easier just to switch to a ratchet. Once we get these removed on this side, we'll head over to the other side and get the same bolts removed over there. We're now underneath the vehicle, and in the center between our exhaust tips here, we're gonna have 4 Torx bolts we're gonna remove. There's gonna be 2 on each side. We'll use that same T25 Torx to remove these. At this point now we can start to remove our fascia. There's gonna be some clips right in here that hold our fascia in place. We can kind of see those there. So we're gonna take our trim panel tool and we're gonna push in on those. You can kind of see like there's a slot right here, here, and it looks like there's another one here at the top. So we're just gonna use our trim panel tool in here to get this clip released, to get this popped out of here. It is tight. There we go. We got it popped out, and then just check the other ones, like the bottom one here is still in there. So we might need to use our trim panel tool once again to just help persuade that out. You can also kind of go behind the weather stripping to push on it there as well. So now that we've got all these clips removed here, we're gonna head over to the other side now and get these all popped off of there just like this over there as well. So now that we've got it released to that point on each side, we're gonna position ourselves here in the center. That way we can support it. We're gonna continue to pop it just here to the back. Make sure we got it loose there. Make sure we got it loose on this side, and there we go. It just kind of slides off of there, so you do want to be prepared. You can also grab yourself an extra set of hands if you're unsure, because it does come off here very easily. So now we're looking for an electrical connector, because there's likely one located here. And here it is over here on the passenger side. We can see we've got an electrical connection. And it's way over here around the side where it's located. We'll need to press in on the release tab and then get that disconnected. We can then just walk our fascia away now and set it aside where it won't get damaged. Now we can remove our bumper beam. There's 6 bolts in total. We're gonna have 3 on each side, 2 on top and 1 down below. There's an access hole down there. So we can just go ahead and get these removed. We're gonna use a 15mm socket to do so. And what I like to do when I'm removing these is I'll take the easy access outer nut and I'm just going to thread it on there just to turn like that, so that way when I go to remove the other side, the bumper beam can't accidentally just fall off here on me. We are going to be replacing these with new nuts that comes in our kit, so you don't need these anymore. Now that we've got all those removed, we'll just remove that last safety nut we had in place and slide our bumper beam off and set it aside. Well, next we need to take out this section here of our heat shield. It's going to be in the way, obstructing where we're trying to work. So what we can do is we can just actually fold this up out of the way, but we're going to need to make a little relief cut in it. So we're just right here where our attachment is here. We'll just take our heat snips, our tin snips here at the corner, and we're just going to trim it right up to where kind of the natural bend already is. And we'll do the same thing on the other side to give us a relief cut over here. And now at this point, we're just going to bend it up. And it's thin enough to where you could easily just do this by your hand. Now if you're concerned about the sharpness of the metal, it can be sharp. You got to pay attention. So you may want to consider wearing gloves. But the biggest thing really is with anything with safety is always just pay close attention. That's going to be the biggest thing to keep you safe. So now we're ready to put our hitch into position. We are going to grab some of the nuts that come out of our kits, these little flange nuts. We're going to set those in place, put our hitch right into position. We're also going to grab the bumper beam as well. Make sure we have that ready. We'll then take our hitch. We're going to lift this up, line it up with these studs. Get that set in place, and I'm kind of using my chest to hold it in there while I can reposition to get the bumper beam up. And then we'll get this set in place, lining that up with the studs. And again, using my chest to help hold it all together. And then we'll get a nut started on each side. And that'll hold our hitch up there, making it easier to install the rest of our hardware. We're going to have new nuts for each of the factory studs sticking out. So we'll just continue putting those on. We'll now take the bolts that come in your kit. We're going to slide on a lock washer and a flat washer. And you're going to have also a nylon locking nut. The nylon locking nut, we're going to sneak in the back side here. Just like that. And then we're going to take our bolt that we prepared and we're going to thread it right into that nut. It's going to pass through the square opening on your bumper beam, pass right on through the hitch and the frame. And now we can go back and tighten down all of our hardware. We're going to start with our nuts using our 15mm socket. We'll then tighten down our bolts using a 17mm wrench, and you can either use a socket or another wrench, whichever you've got available to you. And then we can go back and torque our hardware to the specifications outlined in our instructions. If you do need a torque wrench, you can get one here at eTrailer from Performance Tools. Now we can install our receiver latching mechanism. It's got 2 holes in it. This is going to slide straight up the bottom in between the opening here in our hitch. The holes will line up with the pre-drilled holes in our hitch, and we're just going to take our bolts starting from the passenger side, slide it through the hitch and our latching mechanism. And then on the other side, we're just going to secure that with nylon locking nuts. Now, if you have the full towing package kit, the installation here is going to be very similar. Our customer doesn't have it today, but if you did, you would want to make sure that you use the longer set of bolts that come with your kit, and also you would want to make sure you put your tow attachments, your tow hook attachments on as well. We can then snug these down with a 15/16 socket and wrench. And then we can go back and torque these to the specification outlined in our instructions. We'll now need to trim out the bottom of our fascia before we can reinstall it. You'll find a diagram in your instructions to help you determine where to make your cuts, but I've gone ahead and marked it out here. We can see just to the inside of the screw over on the driver's side, we make our mark there kind of right at the bend. On the other side though, on the passenger side, it actually wants you to mark it way over here, closer to this outside area. The cut then is going to be offset though if you do it like they say, so you could also just make your mark here, and this is going to give you a nice even cut that's going to be in the middle of the vehicle. It is going to give you a little bit less room to get your hand up in there to turn the mechanism, but I still feel like this is a pretty wide opening. You can see how big my hands are. I got fairly decent sized hands, and I should be able to get them up on each side of the receiver with this opening here. So we're going to cut it out here, and we can always take off more material if we want to later. It's really up to personal preference if you want that larger opening. We're just going to use some snips to trim this out. Just double check, make sure there's no electrical wire or anything behind it when you're cutting. And it's usually easier if you just notch out a small section, so that way you can get a better angle to get in here to cut it across. Once you get it started with your snips, if you switch to a nice razor knife with a new blade, it's actually pretty easy to slide through this plastic, and we can just stay right along the seam here and just work our way down, getting a nice clean cut. And we just slit that all the way down with our razor knife. When we get to the other side, we'll switch back to our snips just to finish trimming this out here. And there we go. Now if we've got any rough edges, you can take your razor knife back and clean those up. You could also take a file to it to clean it up as well. And I've just placed a little bit of alcohol on a rag. We can clean off any paint marks we've made. Get that cleaned back up. And now we can reinstall our fascia. Don't forget to plug in your electrical connector. I do recommend an extra set of hands when going back together because this is a pretty wide fascia and it can be difficult to get it in place without having somebody there to help spread open the ends to slide it on. We're just getting it on there. We were kind of pulling outward on the sides to get it to clear. And then we're just snapping it back into place. We can then reinstall all of our fasteners in reverse order of how we remove them. So now that we've got everything tightened down, we'll need to insert our receiver in there so that way we can actually use it. You'll find the keys to unlock it. They're actually located inside of here. When you first install it, when you go to remove the rubber plug here, the keys are gonna drop out from inside there. So we're just gonna pull this off. And there's our keys. Here's our lock mechanism located over here. So we're just gonna slide the rubber boot off of there. We can see that it is currently locked. So we're gonna go ahead and unlock it. Slide our key in, twist it, and then it popped out. So now we are currently unlocked. We'll take our rack receiver now, and this is simply just gonna slide up into position. After we unlock our latching mechanism here, we'll take the lever on the opposite side, and we're just gonna twist that until it clicks. You'll actually see the little tab down here at the bottom pop out just a little bit. And that means our receiver is now ready to be inserted. You just simply push it up into place. It'll automatically click to lock it in there, and then we'll take the locking mechanism that we had released. We're gonna push that back in, and that's gonna secure it in place. We can put our dust boot over that as well to protect our locking mechanism from any kind of corrosion. And at this point, we've got a 2-inch receiver here at the back that's ready for our accessories, such as bike racks and cargo carriers. You do just want to keep in mind that this is not designed for towing. If you wanted to tow, there is a tow package you can get here at eTrailer, and it is a Stealth Hitch package that has a drawbar that goes right into your latching mechanism here, and that is going to be rated for towing. And that completes our installation of Stealth Hitch's rack receiver on our 2016 Volvo XC90.